Hello and welcome to A Little Crafting. My name is Annie and it is the 27th of December 2020 today. It's a Sunday and we've suddenly got beautiful blue skies outside, even though we had a really bad storm overnight, so everything's suddenly clearing, which means I've got good light today. We are currently in COVID times at the moment, so I'm based in Surrey and we are in tier 4, so that means that we can't spend time with family, or we haven't been able to over Christmas, and I've been having a lot of doorstep chats with people or meeting them individually outside for walks over the Christmas period. I thought I'd just pop on and record an episode this week, even though it is the Christmas holidays, because I've received a few gifts over Christmas and I thought I'd take the opportunity to show you those. For those of you who don't already watch the podcast, you can find me on Ravelry as ankiwoo and on Instagram as Cinnamonswirl.designs, and I will put all of the links to things that I talk about on this podcast in the description box below, so that you can easily find your way to them. Currently in my Ravelry group we have a knit along running. So I started a thread for the Christmas Eve cast on, and a few of my craft group have joined in and posted pictures of what they've cast on over the festive period. That will be running until the end of January, and I do have a prize lined up, which is a skein of yarn from Adventures in Yarn Craft, and it's her Christmas colourway, which I think is called Holly and Ivy. Absolutely beautiful yarn, and I hope to receive that soon so that I can show it off on the podcast in the next episode. So please do join in on that thread if you have cast something on and you want to show your pictures and your progress. I will pop up a finished objects thread in a week or so, just to give people enough time to get going with their knitting. That's it in terms of the intro, so let's get on to the next bit, which is knitting. So as you'll know if you watched the previous episode, I injured my finger a couple of weeks ago. In fact 3 weeks ago actually today. So I have been resting it quite a lot. I unfortunately was feeling much better and then started chopping things in the kitchen, so it ended up injuring it further. But it's feeling a bit better again, so I have been able to do a small amount of knitting over the Christmas period. I did some on Christmas Eve and also on Boxing Day. So I haven't got a huge amount to show you, but I thought it was worth showing anyway. So to start off with what I am wearing, this is the Arboreal sweater by Jennifer Steingass. I've seen a lot of different versions of this over the years. This one is knit out of Wensleydale Gems, which is a West Yorkshire spinner's yarn. I think this is the amber colourway, and the Ecru is just Ecru, kind of standard colours. I really love this sweater, however it pills like crazy and I really was not a fan with working on the yarn. I have had some trouble with firstly wearing it because I just get fluff everywhere, and also whilst I was knitting it. Additionally, my cat's claw got caught in one of the sections on the bottom, and I'll show you. So I think it was roughly, actually you can't really see, which shows that I did a good repair job I think, but then the yarn is fairly uneven anyway. I think it was about here, just her claw got caught, so I ended up with a bit of a hole. However, I have been able to repair that over the festive period, so I'm pleased and therefore wearing it again, even though it is a very autumn jumper. But I really like it. It's very warm and cozy. I would not personally use Wensleydale again, just because it is very straw-like and it does give off a lot of fuzz. I mentioned in my first podcast that basically I get all sorts of little bits coming off all the time, and I have to be careful what else I wear with this, because for example my black Barber jacket is now covered in orange fur effectively as a result of this, but I'm going to keep pilling it and I hope over time that fluff will lessen. I really enjoyed knitting this pattern. I really like colourwork yokes, and the effect that this gives is just incredible, I think. It's such a beautiful pattern and it makes such a satisfying jumper at the end. You start from the collar on this one and work down and out, and these beautiful leaves are just so me as a design. And then mostly otherwise it's just stockinette, but this is always the fun bit, the colourwork yoke. So that's what I'm wearing. I will now move on to what I've been working on. So again, if you've been watching the podcast before, one of these two projects won't be new to you, but I thought I'd show you that I've got a little bit further on it, and I hope to progress more as my finger injury improves. The first one I have to show you is the Owls sweater I am knitting for my friend. And again, if you saw the last podcast, it won't look like I've got very far, but I'll say that I have knit a fair amount more on the sleeves. So what I now have is 2 sleeves, there we go, that are ready to attach onto the body so that I can knit the yoke, which has the fun bit on it, which is the owls themselves. And this is a pattern by Kate Davies. It is quite a popular pattern. I think there have been a lot of different projects, and it's supposed to be quite beginner friendly, but to me, because it's knit from the bottom up, I feel like it's a lot harder to gauge whether you're getting the right size. So I tend to prefer a top-down sweater, because I feel like if you could try it on as you go, that really helps you to get a good idea of whether the fit is correct, whereas bottom up I feel like you're a bit in the dark. So what I ended up doing by accident with this sweater is actually knitting it way too big to begin with. I am using an Aran weight yarn, and this is Drops Nepal in, again, I always get the colour wrong, so I'll just give you the number rather than the colour description. It's colour number 8912 if you want to have a look, and it's kind of dusky pink with little flecks of gold. So that's what the body looks like now so far. So I've got those two to attach together. However, I have looked at the body again this time, and I think what I'm going to do is add a few more rows on, just because I don't want it to be a cropped sweater for my friend. I prefer it, I think she'd prefer something that goes over the hip a bit more. You'll see on this one, I'll see if I can show it, that you have some, let's see if I can zoom in on that. Yeah, so you have some short rows or some decreases and increases to create some shaping on the back and also on the side. So I'm not really sure. Again, this is the trouble with knitting a bottom up sweater, in that I'm not sure where those are specifically going to sit if I make the body longer, but I'm not going to make it too much longer, maybe ½ an inch, just so that it sits kind of nicely on her hips rather than being too short, so that, you know, if she's wearing regular jeans there'll be a gap. So that's my plan for what's next. I am knitting this sweater on 4mm higher sharps, an interchangeable set which I've got, and I really do love higher sharps for knitting generally. I tried some for knitting socks first and then ended up buying myself a set. But I have, as a result, become a very loose knitter. So for this sweater I am knitting, I think, the 3rd size up, but I've been making adjustments as I've been going along, So the sleeves are slightly bigger size, but the body is a slightly smaller size. And I'm going to have to do the maths to make adjustments for the yoke, but I believe it should all be fine. So that is the progress on my owl sweater. Unfortunately, due to my finger injury, I wasn't able to get this finished for a Christmas present, but I will be giving it to my friend as soon as it's finished, and I really hope she loves it, because it has been a bit of a labour of love, and I have had to be unravelling the larger size that I started knitting at this stage. So fingers crossed I also don't run out of yarn. I believe I had 10 balls, so that's about 500 grams worth of this Aran weight Drops Nepal. And that's in terms of the owl's sweater. I really hope it turns out well. Otherwise, I'm not sure what I'm gonna do. Probably undo it and start again. But yeah, it's definitely taking a lot longer than I expected, I suppose. That's the thing. But nothing was within my control, really. So I shouldn't really beat myself up about that. My next project is actually my Christmas Eve cast on. Again, some adjustments are needing to be made on this as well. So I said I was going to cast on some socks for Christmas Eve, and I've got this beautiful, let me see if I can get it out of the bag okay, and I've got all the needles poked through. I've got this beautiful Silent Night colourway for the sock wool from West Yorkshire Spinners. That's their Christmas colourway this year, so it's got a bit of sparkle in it, and it's nice blue tones, which are very much my thing. And I also have a contrast colour for heels and toes, which is just this white, and this one is Yarns Jawoll. I will grab the label. So it's this. Alright, it's Jawoll Superwash, and this is the yarn where you get an extra spool of nylon that you then hold together with the main yarn so that you can add extra reinforcement, because how does it work? Sorry. So it's 75% virgin wool, which is the main kind of hank of yarn, and then 25% nylon. So you hold the nylon together for the toe and heel so that it reinforces the yarn, and that's worked really well before on some previous socks that I made, and I really like the yarn. It's very nice, soft, but it has that extra element of being quite sturdy because of the nylon you connect together with it. So I will show you where I am. At the moment I am just doing a plain knit for the foot, and then what I'm going to do is add a bit of my own detail. I'm not sure specifically what pattern I'm going to use, but some sort of slip stitch pattern to add a bit of interest. So here's where I am. Apologies, the blue keeps rolling in. I haven't knit very much of it. So I am knitting this sock on 1.75mm ChowGoo lace needles, and this is a fixed circular needle. I don't know what length the wire is actually. I'll see if I can find out and let you know. But what I have found is that actually, despite being on a very small needle, my standard toe is actually very wide. So I think what I need to do is take a few stitches off each side to make it a bit thinner. This sock is for myself, so I've tried it on, and although I have wide feet, my gauge is so loose that I still need to cinch it in a bit somehow, even on the 1.75mm needles. So I just need to undo a few rows and knit straight from further down so that I can have a thinner section of the top of the foot. from there, and you can see that is actually quite wide for a sock. I'm also knitting this as just plain stockinette, whereas the pattern that I'm using as a base for the toe up socks is actually a cable pattern. So I wonder if maybe that's why it seems very wide. The cables, because of the knit and purl detail in the cables, tend to pull things in. So maybe I just need to adjust it because of that. I didn't want to do any kind of pattern on the foot because it is quite a busy yarn, as you can tell. I thought it would have clearer stripes originally, but it is quite mixed up. So I think a plain foot will be the best, and then I'll add the detail to the leg of the sock. Like I said, I am knitting this toe up, and that means I'm using Judy's Magic Cast On as the cast on. Which is a great cast on, and I had a discussion with my friend earlier today about the best way to knit socks as a beginner, and I do think that I would recommend toe up, just because you can try on as you go. And again, like I've said, I've mentioned that with regards to the sweaters, you could try on as you go, you can check to see if it fits, and then you can rip back if you need to, like I've done here. Otherwise I wouldn't have realised how big the sock was going to be until it was almost done, which is a bit of a pain. So that's where I am with that. Highly recommend trying toe up socks. I'm going to do an afterthought heel as well, so I will get to a certain point and then put in some scrap yarn, and then I will unravel that once I've done the whole sock. I really like doing that because it just allows me to carry on all the way through the knitting, get all of that knitting done, and then think about the complicated bit, which is the toe. So that's where I am with that. Here's the sparkle label if you want to have a look. Okay. West Yorkshire Spinners, and it's 35% Blueface Leicester on this yarn. 75% wool overall, 23% nylon and 2% polyester, which will be for the sparkle sock. This is 4-ply yarn, 100 gram ball, which gives you 400 meters. Okay. And of course it's sock yarn, so perfect for socks. I am keeping this in my Quince Pie 2 at a time sock bag, although this isn't 2 at a time socks. I have 2 balls of wool, so I thought I'd use this one. And I don't know if she's got this fabric anymore, but Quince Pie is another favourite bag maker of mine. I have a few of her small bags for little projects. This one has a separator in the centre, if you can see there, yep. And then you've got these for your threads or your yarns, so that you can pull it through and keep the yarn separate when you're doing 2 at a time socks. So a great little sock sack there. And that is all the knitting content that I have to show you. However, I do have some Christmas gifts, like I said, that I would like to show you on this episode. So, Christmas gifts. My first one is actually from my husband. So he asked me what I wanted for Christmas, and I said to him that I've had this in my wish list for a couple of years, and it's not something that I would ever spend the money on to buy myself, so I think that's the perfect gift option. And this is a bag by Antler and Acorn. I'm going to move over and see if I can hold it up. So it's an Antler and Acorn on Etsy. It's a large project bag, so I think this can fit a pretty good sized sweater. I've got all my yarn for one of my next projects in here, and I really love a pull closed bag, and it is beautifully made. We've got a set of pockets inside. I'm not sure you'll be able to see that. Yeah, set of pockets inside. The fabric itself is incredibly sturdy. I don't know if she's even had to use interfacing on this. It's really thick, chunky canvas. The drawstring pulls are really solid. And one of the best things is that I can effectively use this as a handbag. So it's got a lovely leather strap on it. Let me show you. Oh, yeah. And I love this lion. It's a bit hit and miss what you actually get. Obviously as the animals on the front, because you can't specifically choose for the pattern. But I love the fact that I've got the lion on the front there, and the beautiful colours of this jungle fabric. It's absolutely gorgeous. I think it's got a box bottom, yep. But overall just absolutely beautifully made. And it's going to become my favourite bag, I'm pretty sure. It's lovely. I love the fact that it's got the leather strap. It smells amazing. And it's just so nice, so nicely finished and professionally finished. So I will link to that in the description box below, so you can see the Antler and Acorn Etsy shop. But yeah, really happy with that. Love it. There we go. So that was my main gift. I also got a camera battery, which is not as fun, but also helps with the podcast. I don't keep having to charge my battery. We also do a not secret Santa with my husband's family. So for that I requested a knitting book, and that is Feral Weekend by Mary Mucklestone. Mary Jane Mucklestone. So this is a Lane magazine book. So a Lane magazine, Lane publication, I suppose, is what it should be, because it's not a magazine, it's a book. And it's got some really beautiful feral patterns in it. Let me see if I can show you a bit. As with all of the Lane publications, the production quality is amazing. The photographs are gorgeous. Just the paper that they've used is lovely. So that's one of the hats. That's called Buness, I think, B-U-N-E-S-S. You've got this just gorgeous production quality. That is Veesik, V-E-E-S-I-K. You've got Mali, which is a hat. That one's probably one of the first ones I'll do. A gorgeous kind of arm warmer type things in loads of different colours. And of course some yokes. So this kind of has a leafy design. Lovely tam-toe fingerless mitts there as well. So I'm really looking forward to learning more about feral tradition. And one of the reasons that I chose to get this book rather than another standard feral book is firstly the production quality, the fact that it's one of those books that is just a really lovely gift. It's a beautiful book, and at the same time it has a lot of history that Mary Jane Mucklestone's included in here. So she talks about the classic feral design and the types of motifs and patterns that are used. There's a couple of little articles, I suppose, from other people, so talking specifically about knitting or about feral itself and the island. There's instructions on how to steek as well, which I thought was great. So I think it's lovely to have a book that both includes history and also knitting patterns. It's a really, really lovely book, and it will go very nicely next to my 52 Weeks of Socks that's also published by Lane magazine. That is Christmas gift number 2. And then the other one is probably hiding under here. So a friend of mine is a jewellery maker and also a potter. And she gave me a lovely little gift this year, so I thought I'd show it off because it is knitting related. And that's this gorgeous pin, which is, I suppose I could use as a shawl pin. So she, let's see if I can get the, so it is quite shiny, but basically she creates silver jewellery out of handmade paper and then resin, I believe, to get the kind of textured effects, and it's just such beautiful jewellery. And she took inspiration from the mosaic knitting jumper that or cardigan that I'm going to be making next, and produced this lovely blue and white pin for me. So I guess I could use this as a shawl pin or just as a brooch, which would offset the lovely blue and white pattern on the design. She is Circle and Dash on Instagram, and she also has her own website if you want to go and have a look. Obviously for handmade makers at the moment, no fairs or anything are going on, so it's really important to support them online if you can, or via their web shops, and follow them on Instagram so that they get more of a following. She also produces absolutely lovely pottery. I have a couple of pieces myself, and her jewellery is just really unique, as you can see, because of the way it's designed. Lots of geometric designs, but really beautiful simple jewellery as well. I think that it appeals to everyone because it's simple but elegant as well. So I'm really happy that I was able to get a piece and that she gifted it to me for Christmas, and I'll look forward to wearing it with either shawls or on my cardigan when it's actually finished. And that's pretty much it in terms of Christmas gifts. The last thing I wanted to show you is just my advent calendar from Norah George Yarns. As I'm completely finished with it now, I thought I'd just go through, I'd show you all the colours that I ended up with for the yarns. I'm going to try and show you in order if I can, which does mean holding it up a bit like this. Hopefully you can see okay. So where are we? Number 1 was this lovely kind of reddy colour. Where's 2? One? Yep. Number 2 is a kind of beigey brown with some other brighter red colours in there, which is really lovely. Number 3, this purpley one, kind of mauve actually, I would say. Okay. Number 4, green tones with a bit of extra warmth in some speckles. 5 is a kind of yellow and orange one. 6, where's number 6? Okay, it's like opening them all over again basically. And 6 is a kind of white and blue and yellow. 7 is this really lovely, very pink red. I think this is one of my favourites. Number 8, kind of an Ecru base with some speckles of green and purple, so very flowery. And 9. I'm gonna have to cut some of this out, won't I? Right, number 9 is a green, really green, like leafy green colours. 10 is up here, so kind of wintry blue, light blue. 11 is just here, so again a kind of Ecru colour but with some greens and pinks and kind of a browny tone as well, so very flowery too. 11, 12 is over here, so a more kind of tealy turquoisey colour but quite light. 13 is up the top, another kind of bright green. As this is Secret Garden themed, it kind of makes sense that there's lots of greens and flowery colours, which I really like. 14 is an Ecru with some other colours mixed in and kind of warmer tones. 15 is again warmer tones, so kind of a mauvey colour with some gold. 16, where's that? Again an Ecru with some splashes of bright colours, and purple and blue and bright green in there, super bright. 17 is up here, so a white with some specks of purple, teal and pink. 18, on the tree there. 18 is a kind of corally pink colour. I love that colour. 19 is down here, so greens and blues. Reminds me of a bluebell field actually, that. 20 is a goldy colour with some specks of dark purple and dark blue. I think that's dark blue, yeah. 21 just here, so a much paler pink but with some specks of other colours as well, so it's got some kind of brighter pink, some yellow, and very flowery and rose-like. 22 is a white with some bright specks of pink and red and blue, which is really lovely as well. 23, almost there, is this really vivid purple, which is really lovely. And 24 is a very autumnal set of colours, so almost kind of pumpkin pie-esque, so browns and oranges. And I also got a little candle and a couple of other little bits, so this is amber, orange and vanilla candle, which is really lovely. I'm gonna have to burn that soon. And I just thought I'd leave it all in the packaging so that I could show you properly, and also so that I can knit the cowl that I'm going to make in order. So I've decided to make the Catvent cowl by, and I can't remember her name, I'm really sorry. I'll pop it on the screen and also in the description box below. It's by the same lady who does the cat yoke sweater, which I really like the look of. I actually have a pin from her with that one on, but I thought I'd do something a bit more interesting than just a stripy cowl. So I ended up deciding to go for that one. So I'm hoping that I can knit the colours in order, but I think I'll have to see as I go how well the colours fit together, because as it's a colour work cowl mostly, I need a bit of contrast in there. So there are some combinations that might not quite go together, but I'll see how I get on from starting with number 1 which will be this lovely reddy pink colour. So yeah, I really enjoyed opening that. These are 10 gram minis, so I went for the slightly smaller advent calendar. And it was so nice to open some yarn every day actually, and also see all the different colours, because they are absolutely beautiful. I'll stick a picture of all of them just here so that you can take a look as well. And that is everything I wanted to show you today. I obviously have a few plans for knitting sweaters going forward. However, I do still need to take it easy with my finger injury. It's much better than it was, but I don't want to risk hurting it again and going back to the beginning. So I'm still being incredibly careful and hoping that it will be all better soon and I can get back to knitting normally. For the next few days we won't be doing very much. Like I said, we're in tier 4 in the UK, which is the highest tier of restrictions for COVID-19. So we can't do very much in terms of seeing other people other than meeting them outside, which is effectively the lockdown. So I will probably end up doing a fair amount of knitting, but still taking it easy. Also playing Dungeons and Dragons still, which I'm enjoying. And yeah, just generally relaxing for the rest of the week. I am off work until the 4th of January, so I have a good week of just availability in the next week. So I'm gonna do a few fun things, probably tidy up my craft room as well. Plan some more projects with yarn, because I'm conscious that I have so much yarn and not anything planned for a lot of it. I want to make sure that I have ideas of what I want to make in future. And my husband has actually given me a bit of a challenge for the new year. So the idea is that I am only allowed to buy yarn once I've used some up, and I'm only allowed to buy 2/3 of the quantity of that yarn that I've used. So it's a way of not restricting me too much, but also encouraging me to use up the yarn that I have, and also possibly reduce my stash a bit, because there's a lot and it's kind of all over the place at the moment. It needs an organisation. So yeah, that's the plan of the new year. I'll probably post up a make 9 on Instagram before the 1st of January, but I have no plans to make specific New Year's resolutions this year. Normally I'd have some kind of target for my climbing and also some kind of a knitting target. But as at the moment we're not able to go climbing anyway, and I've hurt my finger, I'm not going to push myself too much to achieve things when there's a lot of stuff going on in the world that we can't control right now. I might have a couple of little targets with thick patterns that I'd like to make, but I'm not gonna push myself too much because I already have some plans anyway. And fingers crossed all this COVID business is sorted soon and the vaccines work and we can get back to a little bit more of a normal life, particularly for those small businesses and restaurants and pubs that must just be, I don't know, horrified that this is carrying on and we're once again having to close things down for the 3rd time this year. So fingers crossed for all of them that this doesn't continue too long and that everything can go back to a more normal state. I think there's lots of things we've learned in this period anyway. How easy it is to actually work from home for most office workers. I think the work-life balance has changed and improved because of that. But I am still dying to see people at some point. We've definitely been meeting outside a lot more with people, going for walks more, doing nice things to treat ourselves, but I do miss the human interaction for sure. Anyway, I will stop rambling on. Hope you have a wonderful new year. Please like and subscribe if you like this episode, and I look forward to speaking to you in 2021 now. Who would believe it? It's been crazy, but thanks very much for watching. Bye.